What does it mean when a man of justice becomes a man of compassion? In a world where judges are often portrayed as stern, cold, and distant, one man completely shattered that image and became a symbol of kindness, empathy, and fairness. That man was Judge Frank Caprio, fondly known to millions as America's nicest judge. His courtroom wasn't just a place where laws were enforced. It was a place where humanity was seen, heard, and respected. And now, as the heartbreaking news of his passing spreads, Rhode Island is preparing to honor his life and legacy with public memorial services. Across the country and around the world, people are reflecting on how one small courtroom in Providence became a stage for compassion, and how one man's humanity touched millions he never even met. Frank Caprio's story began long before he ever put on a judge's robe. Born in 1936 to Italian immigrant parents in Providence, Rhode Island, his upbringing was simple but full of values that would guide him for the rest of his life. His father worked hard to provide for the family, instilling in young Frank the importance of resilience, humility, and respect for others. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood, Frank understood firsthand the struggles of everyday people. He knew what it meant to live paycheck to paycheck, to make sacrifices, and to navigate life's hardships with dignity. Those early lessons stayed with him, and they shaped the man who would later sit on the bench and change the way people viewed justice. Before entering the legal world, Frank Caprio started out as a schoolteacher. He spent years shaping young minds, reminding students of their potential, and giving them the encouragement they needed to dream big. Teaching gave him patience, understanding, and a profound respect for people's stories. When he eventually pursued a career in law, he carried those values into the courtroom. To him, justice was never just about rules on paper. It was about people. For more than 3 decades, Judge Caprio presided over the Providence Municipal Court. To most people, cases like parking tickets, minor violations, and traffic fines wouldn't seem like the stuff of global inspiration. But in Judge Caprio's courtroom, those cases became moments of humanity that resonated far beyond Rhode Island. Clips of his hearings began circulating on television and social media, quickly going viral. Viewers were captivated by the way he approached each case, not with anger or rigidity, but with curiosity, empathy, and often humor. He asked questions that most judges never would. He wanted to know who these people were, what they were going through, and why they had found themselves in his courtroom. One of the most famous aspects of his courtroom was the way he often turned to children, sometimes the sons and daughters of those standing trial, and asked them to help decide the outcome. It was charming, heartwarming, and deeply symbolic. By doing this, Judge Caprio showed that justice wasn't just about punishment. It was about perspective. His lighthearted approach brought smiles to defendants, their families, and millions of viewers who watched online. It was proof that even in moments of accountability, there was room for understanding. Judge Caprio didn't just hand down verdicts. He listened to stories. He listened to single mothers struggling to keep food on the table. He listened to elderly residents who couldn't afford to pay their fines on fixed incomes. He listened to veterans carrying the invisible weight of their service. And he responded with compassion. Sometimes he reduced fines. Sometimes he dismissed them entirely. And other times he came up with creative solutions that balanced accountability with mercy. What mattered most was that the people before him felt seen, respected, and understood. It's no wonder why clips of Judge Caprio's courtroom moments racked up millions of views across the internet. People from every corner of the globe were drawn to his warmth and humanity. In an age where so many feel disconnected from institutions and authority figures, here was a judge who reminded everyone that kindness still mattered. Strangers would write to him, thanking him for restoring their faith in humanity. Teachers would use his videos in classrooms to show students what fairness and empathy looked like in action. For many, Judge Caprio wasn't just a local figure. He was a global role model. Despite his newfound fame, Judge Caprio never saw himself as a celebrity. In interviews, he often expressed surprise that people cared so much about what happened in his courtroom. To him, it was simple. He was just doing his job the way he believed it should be done. But his humility only made people love him more. He became a rare figure in public life who managed to bridge divides, inspire millions, and spread positivity without ever trying to be anything other than himself. His philosophy was clear. Justice without compassion is incomplete. He believed that every person's life circumstances mattered, and that true fairness required looking at the whole story, not just the violation. This belief is what made him stand out in a world that often seems quick to judge and slow to forgive. He turned small legal matters into big lessons on empathy, and his courtroom became a classroom for the entire world. Now, with his passing, Rhode Island and the nation are preparing to honor him with public memorial services. These events are more than just ceremonies. They are a chance for people to come together, to celebrate the life of a man who touched countless hearts. Family, friends, colleagues, community members, and fans from near and far will gather to pay their respects. Each person will bring their own story of how Judge Caprio made an impact, whether it was through a personal encounter in his courtroom or a viral video that brought them comfort during a difficult time. The memorials will undoubtedly be filled with both grief and gratitude. Grief, because we have lost a rare kind of leader, one who led with kindness. Gratitude, because we were lucky enough to witness his example and carry his lessons forward. His presence may no longer be with us, but his influence is far from gone. Every act of compassion inspired by his example ensures that his legacy lives on. Judge Frank Caprio was more than just a judge. He was a devoted family man, a proud Rhode Islander, and a humble servant of the people. He loved his community deeply and worked tirelessly to give back, whether through charitable efforts or personal mentorship. To those who knew him personally, he wasn't just America's nicest judge. He was a friend, a mentor, and a pillar of strength. To the millions who only knew him through a screen, he was proof that kindness has the power to change lives. Even though his courtroom is now silent, his lessons continue to echo. They echo in the way teachers show compassion to struggling students, in the way neighbors lend a helping hand, and in the way people choose mercy over judgment in their everyday lives. His legacy is not limited to Rhode Island. It belongs to everyone who chooses empathy over indifference. As people gather in Rhode Island to honor him, it is worth reflecting on how Judge Caprio himself would want to be remembered. He often said that listening was one of the most important things a judge could do. To listen was to recognize someone's humanity. That is perhaps the greatest lesson he left behind. That when we listen, when we truly take the time to understand others, we make the world a more compassionate place.